Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I thought we'd talk about the recent Union Cross stuff that came out that of course progresses the story forward. Now I do apologize that it's been a little while since we last talked about really anything to do with Union Cross's story sort of throughout this year. You guys should know that the story progresses at just like the slowest rate ever. I mean, it's only now that we are finally getting sort of continuation towards Maleficent's side of things that sort of started around the end of last year, so in a sense it's taken like a decent year and a bit to even get a bit of continuation towards her side of things, but we finally have. I'm going to be talking about both the arc stuff as well as the Book of Prophecy stuff to do with Brain. But let's start off with the arc stuff to do with Maleficent. Now, if we skip back to the story update that we got in October of last year, where we see Maleficent talking to a dark figure within the data world of the Enchanted Dominion. This is taking place around the time that Maleficent was defeated in Kingdom Hearts 1 and then was sent back in time to the data version of the Enchanted Dominion. Current goal as of right now is to return back to her original time. What was said in this little scene right here is that this dark figure mentions that it is possible to travel forward in time into the future. So at this point, Maleficent's goal is to figure out how to do exactly that. And this blew a lot of our minds, the fact that you can actually travel forward in time. But now we know exactly how this is possible. There is a thing known as the Arc. And the original purpose of the Arc was to travel to the Ocean Between, just like a gummy ship. The Ocean Between is essentially space for the worlds of Kingdom Hearts. However, due to the fact that it was actually incomplete, its purpose for some reason is completely altered, and rather the destination of the Arc is the future. So Maleficent currently, as of right now, is going to use this arc in order to return back to her original time. This is really interesting for a number of reasons, because how many arcs are there? Was this used by, say, the Master of Masters in order to travel to a future point? As we know, the Master of Masters just simply disappeared shortly before the Ancient Keyblade War, and is another arc eventually used by the Dandelion leaders to escape into the future as well. The reason why I lean towards this idea is due to the whole Subject X thing. Within the secret reports for Kingdom Hearts 3, it is explained that a mysterious girl suddenly appeared within the town square of Radiant Garden. Now, we don't currently know who Subject X is, but a lot of people either lean towards the idea of Ava, which is also possible if Ava perhaps maybe used the Arc at some point to travel into the future, or it could be Skuld. I lean more towards the idea of Skuld only because within the secret report, it mentions here her words suggest that she departed her home world with others, though she cannot recall the names of her erstwhile companions, which makes me think that at some point, collectively, the Dandelion leaders end up using the Arc for some reason to travel into the future. Something obviously happens which then separates the rest of the group, and somehow Subject X, if it is Skuld, she ends up in Radiant Garden. There would also be more to it as well. There is no mention within this story update here when this dark mysterious figure is talking about the Arc as to whether or not you end up losing your memories as a consequence of traveling into the future via the Arc. We still don't really know too much about this whole Arc thing. I would say that the reason as to why Subject X ended up losing memories might not necessarily have something to do with the use of the Arc, if that is how they got there, seeing as when Maleficent returns in the future for, of course, Kingdom Hearts 2, when she came back, she still had all of her memories intact. But continuing with the Arc stuff that has already been mentioned within the update, Maleficent is currently trying to find it, and in order to actually get to it, she needs to make her way to the Tower of Daybreak Town, which currently she's in a data version of, get to the control room to send herself into the real world, the real version of Daybreak Town, and there she will find the Arc. It is explained to her that she will need to ditch her body and travel in the Arc as a heart, because it is actually impossible to do so whilst in your physical form. To travel apparently at the speed of light, you need to do so as a heart, Otherwise, your flesh is completely ripped from you. Yeah, pretty dark stuff considering this is a Disney game. Now, obviously, Maleficent is pretty damn concerned because for the future, she does obviously need a physical form in order to actually live and move around. It's explained to her that so long as there is an intermediary in the future and that there are people that exist in the future that have memories of her, she can return to a physical form. Now, we don't know what this intermediary is, in the sense of is it an actual person or is it more so like a thing, an object of sorts. But the really interesting thing about this is you can travel into the future and bring people back just overall, so long as you have memories of them. This would really support the fact of how Xion was able to return, as well as obviously the foretellers at the very end of Kingdom Hearts 3, with I guess Luxu being the person that still had the memories of his group, which would also be part of his overall mission given to him by the Master of Masters as well. He's needed to be there in order to be that person that still has the memories of the rest of the foretellers in order to bring them into the future and to overall bring them back. Now, the scene where Maleficent actually returns in Kingdom Hearts 2 really gives us a little bit more information towards this whole concept. In the sense of the intermediary, as I was saying, we don't know if it's a living thing, like a person, or if it's more so an object. I personally believe that it is an object. The reason why is the crow comes in and picks up Maleficent's coat, and in this situation, the intermediary for Maleficent must be her coat. The other side of the coin is the intermediary could also be the crow, and the people in the moment who ended up supplying the memories which was also needed to bring Maleficent back were clearly the fairies, as they were saying in that cutscene from Kingdom Hearts 2, this game that came out back in 2005, saying that they mustn't remember Maleficent, which supports this whole entire concept of the fact that memories bring back people. This is most likely an Idera concept that Nomura's had for quite some time, but it's so mind-boggling to know that the foundations of this idea existed in Kingdom Hearts 2, and now it's been fully explained and executed in 2019, basically 2020. This also confirms to us that whether or not you have good or bad memories towards the person, and if they were an enemy of yours or a friend, it doesn't matter. You just simply need to have memories of that person in order to bring them back. And I think honestly, in the sense of the foretellers being brought back, let's say that the intermediary is an object and that the memories obviously have to stem from a living person, which would be Luxu, then is the intermediary the actual black box? But you guys know what this means, right? You know what this means, right? Yeah. No one really ever truly fucking dies in this game. It is possible to bring back anyone. I love how like confused and concerned Maleficent is within this scene right here. She doesn't know how any of this works, just like us, the audience watching on in. You can really feel her pain as to trying to understand how this sort of all comes together. You can really tell that she wants to ensure that this is all going to work correctly and that this isn't just a whole lot of garbage. The one thing to reassure Maleficent towards this actually completely working, her returning to her original time and continuing to exist, is that the dark shadowy figure explains that yes, this does end up working because within the tome of prophecies, you exist in the future. So obviously, if she exists within the future that is written out by the Tome of Prophecies, clearly everything that is going on right here towards getting the Ark and returning to the future works out for her. Clearly, of course, we already know that, because of course she randomly returned in Kingdom Hearts 2 and still to this point, even after Kingdom Hearts 3, she still exists. And the whole dark shadowy figure thing would definitely explain as to how Maleficent knows so much about the Tome of Prophecies in the current timeline of. And I would also say that the dark shadowy figure probably has some sort of influence over Maleficent towards her current goal of obtaining the mysterious black box. She obviously wants it for some intention, but clearly I think that the dark shadowy figure probably has a part to play in exactly why she wants it. Now next up, let's talk about the stuff that's currently going on with Brain in the most recent story update. In a story update that was released throughout November, we saw a scene where Ava was talking to Brain initially before he became an official Dandelion leader. Within that scene, we see that Lady Ava ended up giving Brain a copy of the Tome of Prophecies. It's explained within the most recent story update that this Tome of Prophecies was given to one of the Dandelion leaders and one leader only as a form of backup as to if the data versions of the worlds that were saved, if those data versions of the worlds were to be destroyed somehow, the copy of the Tome of Prophecies would be a sort of insurance or backup so that those worlds still existed somewhere. Lady Ava also slipped in a note within the copy of the Tome of Prophecies given to Brain, clearly listing each of the original Dandelion leaders. As we know, within the group there is a traitor, as Streliza was originally meant to be one of the 5 Dandelion leaders. Still to this day, we don't know who ended up killing her off. We were leaning towards the idea originally that it would have been Luarium, but then we later on found out that Streliza is in fact Luarium's sister, so totally wouldn't make sense for Luarium to kill her off, and that his current goal as of right now is to somehow track her down, or at least a digital counterpart of her. As revealed in this brand new scene, it is explained that Brain was not originally meant to receive the copy of the Tome of Prophecies, and this was a decision changed by Lady Ava, meaning that she ended up actually defying fate. Now of course this could still be a part of the Master of Masters' grand scheme, what he ended up writing in the book, but of course we do know that originally he was not meant to receive it. This probably alludes to the fact that Streliza was in fact meant to receive the Tome of Prophecies, but somehow Lady Ava figured out that eventually Streliza would be killed off, and that this wouldn't end up happening. The other side of the coin here is that Ava somehow planned out the death of Streliza for a specific purpose, and knew she had to give Brain the Tome of Prophecy. So this bit of paper that was slipped into the Tome of Prophecies by Lady Ava for specifically Brain, if we were to actually be able to see it, which would be so damn nice, would tell us exactly who the traitor is, the person that was not supposed to be a Dandelion leader. Now, the really interesting dynamic right here in this scene is exactly how Ephemera is actually receiving all of this information. This is a conversation between the two, and of course Brain ends up showing this list to Ephemera. The way that he kind of reacts to this almost seems as if he's panicking in the sense of he's being caught onto. Although for a long time now we've been theorizing that potentially it could be Ventus, someone that we absolutely wouldn't expect to do such a horrendous thing as to killing off someone in order to take their place. Though yes, we have been leaning towards that idea. What if the person that actually ended up killing off Streliza was in fact Ephemera? Now, we do know that Ephemera was of course meant to be a Union leader. That much is true. But we do know that both Skuld and Ephemera have a pretty damn close relationship. These guys are essentially best friends. What if Ephemera did the dirty in the name of Skuld and killed off Streliza so that Skuld could become a gat-dang Union leader? Or what if Skuld just got her hands dirty on her own accord in order to become a Union leader, full well knowing that Ephemera was going to? She probably thought in her head that it was inevitable that if she didn't end up becoming a Union leader, her friendship with Ephemera would come to an end because she would inevitably be destroyed in the Keyblade War. This probably would explain why Brain ended up specifically calling Ephemera into this conversation in order to show him this list. And just with the way that Ephemera reacts to this information, not saying much at all, and also looking extremely sad, it certainly seems as if he's taken back by what he's reading. And I think he would react this way, especially if it was Skuld who is the traitor, considering that he has a strong relationship with her. And also with the whole idea of Subject X being Skuld and waking up with no memories, also potentially using the arc to travel into the future and then awaking in Radiant Garden. Could that possibly have anything to do with being caught out as the traitor, somehow wiping her memories because of it, and essentially her using the art to escape? Although it was explained that she did travel with other people, potentially the group. All these kind of things just get me thinking. However guys, that is it for today's video. I am so happy that I've finally gotten around to actually talking about all this stuff, just due to the fact that it has been a hot minute, dude. This update though has been extremely juicy, progressing kind of two ongoing things and two very important things towards the whole Union Cross story. The stuff to do with Maleficent, as well as the stuff to do with the Dandelion leader group. We're getting closer and closer to finding out exactly who this traitor is, and on top of that too, more so the stuff towards the whole arc, being able to travel into the future, and also that memories can actually bring people back. It's all pretty mind-bending stuff, and stuff that I'm sure is going to be important for the future of the series. In the comment section down below guys, please leave your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to know what you dudes think. However guys, I'm Cynical, hopefully having a fantastic day, and until next time guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hit him on the page, you'll be coming through stunning. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crate, gaming up the bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.